Buddy, the horizon is the curvature. That's why things disappear when they go over it.
Being a flat earther in 2026 has got to be really hard, because it turns out that every conspiracy theory that we've ever thought up has pretty much just come to be true, except for yours. This planet is still round.
Hi, I'm a flat earther, and yes, it is 2026, and I've been a flat earther since 2021. With all this other stuff coming true, it just makes... What? And you're saying that flat earth is not true? I'm sorry, flat earth is the first one that's true, and then you learn about all the rest of them. So go do some research and figure it out, because the earth is flat. Literally, we are living in Revelation chapter 22 as we speak. Y'all go read your Bibles.
You won't believe what I found when I watched this spacewalk. So the astronauts are right over Israel, looking down at Cairo, Egypt, and the Nile River. But do you notice just how much curvature that they're showing us in that spacewalk? So I decided to go to Google Earth and zoom in on Israel and Cairo and the Nile River. And do you see how small it is on Google Earth versus how large it is in this spacewalk? It makes you wonder, how is it possible that the Nile River is taking up so much of the curvature of the globe? And what's even crazier is I decided to listen to some of the audio on one of these spacewalks, and I found something extremely, extremely suspicious. Why don't we listen in and see what's going on? Doesn't it look and sound like the astronauts are literally moving around underwater? Now, I understand that they're technically in low Earth orbit, but they're pretty much in space. How do we hear all of that sound? And why does it sound like it's literally traveling underwater?
According to NASA themselves, the moon is in the exosphere. It's in the outermost layer of our atmosphere, of Earth's atmosphere. So it's not in outer space, and that's a whole nother video. But this is a picture of Venus passing in front of the moon. So Venus, a planet that is much, much farther than the exosphere is said to be, is passing in front of a celestial body within the exosphere. So this obviously doesn't make sense according to NASA's logic. So you ask why it's happening according to NASA. They start explaining that the moon is actually hiding Venus. So the AI is regurgitating NASA, and it's telling me that Venus is actually going behind the moon. Now, from our perspective. Now, obviously this is not happening. So I said, it's not the moon passing in front of Venus from our perspective. It's Venus passing in front of the moon from our perspective. And then it literally says, I get why you're saying that. The photo looks exactly like Venus is crossing in front of the moon. But here's the key thing. According to NASA, that scenario cannot physically happen. Why Venus cannot pass in front of the moon? NASA's position is unambiguous. Venus is tens of millions of miles farther away than the moon. The moon is only about 240,000 miles away. Because of this enormous distance difference, Venus can never physically cross in front of the moon from the Earth's perspective. So even if your eyes or camera make it look like Venus is in front, NASA explains that this is a projection illusion. Not an actual foreground crossing. So the funniest thing is that when NASA's completely wrong about something, they start telling you that something is an illusion. When Venus appears to touch or overlap the moon, it is always behind the moon, never in front. The illusion of Venus being on top of or in front of the moon happens because Venus is extremely bright. Venus has not yet reached the moon's actual edge. You just can't see that edge. So they're saying that we can't see this edge, okay? Now, even with this shitty camera, you can see the edge right there. It's clear. Exactly where the edge is. And Venus is right on top, within this circumference. Venus is not that far away. Venus is closer to Earth than the moon is.
We're basically in a terrarium, right? And that firmament covers the whole top of Earth.
Science is a lie, fake. What science calls a theory is just a label backed by authority. I could make one too, and you could make one too, and a random homeless guy on the street could make one too. Einstein, Newton, Charles Darwin. The only scientist was Nikola Tesla. He's the real one. From my perspective, the world seems too incredibly stupid.
Do you agree, right, if we go to a park, right, and you duck behind a hill, is that hill ever going to be behind you so that I can see you?
No.
So then if the horizon is a physical hill getting in the way of boats, and you're at 6 foot elevation, is that boat going to disappear at 3 miles or 5 miles?
Well, there are days when it disappears at 3 miles, and then there are days when it disappears at 5 miles.
So on the days where it disappeared at 5 miles, did the Earth get bigger?
No, it doesn't get bigger, but the answer, but they say it is refraction at that point.
Welcome to flat Earth. Yeah, every time they invoke refraction to move the horizon, they just proved a flat Earth. They proved it's optical and not geometric. Okay, well, I can ask you a question too about the moon phases. Do you agree that when it's phased, it's still a solid rock there? Can you see a star? Can you see a star through the moon?
I heard that there's that proposition out there, and I've seen some pictures. But I need good evidence to believe in it. Like, you know,
it's called the Coleridge effect. It's the Coleridge effect.
Coleridge effect. Okay. Oh, that is, yeah. So, and how does the globe proponents explain it away? Do you know about it?
Nuh-uh.
Wow,
what they do is they see it and then they say nah-uh.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's the answer. Nuh-uh. The Coleridge effect is a rare astronomical illusion where a bright star or planet appears to shine within the dark, unlit portion of a young crescent moon, often appearing trapped between its horns. So there's no, I mean, they've seen Venus the planet through the moon. You can look that up too. On TikTok, go Venus through the moon and you'll see it.
Yeah, I bumped into it once, but it was very, like, I mean, there's a lot of good information out there, but then now that you've said this, the Coleridge effect, I'm going to trace it back to the source as best as possible.
Yeah. Have you seen my debates against the pilots?
No, I haven't seen it.
You have to go look at it on my channel. Like, I've got a debates playlist and I've debated many pilots, even one at the airport who admitted he doesn't adjust for curvature. And he also, my first question to pilots is, when you fly over the Earth, every 10 miles distance, you drop 66 feet, right? Because if the Earth is curving at 0.666 feet per mile squared, and you're flying over it, the ground is dropping down and away every 10 miles at 66 feet.
Yeah.
So this is the question I ask them, and then they say no. So if the Earth is not dropping down and away from you, what are you flying over?
So all these motions of the Earth that we experience, but we don't feel it, the understanding is, it's relative motion, therefore you don't feel it. That is the...
Listen to this, right? If you're in a plane, say the plane's going 1,000 miles, and it starts turning slightly, do you feel it?
If it turns at a big arc, it won't. If it is turning with a short arc, curvature arc, you will.
I don't know. 1,000 miles is pretty fast. And if you just slightly turn, you'd have G's on you. Would you agree with an accelerometer that's precise, you'd feel like you'd detect that, yeah?
Yeah. But
Okay.
the,
So if
but
so 1 second. So if I put an accelerometer on my table, is it going to detect motion of the spinning Earth?
wow.
Welcome to Flat Earth.
Wow. God, you just opened up a Pandora box for me. God, my God.
Hey, that's a clip. I appreciate you, man. I'm going to clip you. I hope you go viral, man. This is good. This has been a good discussion.
Thank you.
Here they go. They're showing us again, guys. They're showing us, and we refuse to believe it. People don't want to accept the fact that where we're living at may not be real. That it's an endpoint to everything, and they want you to believe that it keeps going. It's just a TV show. It's just a movie. Come on! What are you doing? What are you doing, lady? No way. Don't you dare open that. Because that's the sky. Shh. Shut up! Something's going on out here, guys, and I told you. That's impossible, right? How could it be? They showed us in the King Kong movie. Right? Remember that? Remember the Truman Show? Remember? You don't remember nothing. You remember the things you want to remember. You remember that you lived in a real world. You know why? Because this is a real world. Stop playing with me, son. This video is for entertainment purpose only. I don't know what was going on in that show, movie, or whatever that was, but whatever it was just a movie. Shh. Shut up! Listen. How do you know where it starts or where it ends when you're in one place all day? But what about Antarctica? Stop playing with me, son. It's not a game, guys. You know what it is. Shh. Shut up! But I'll tell you one thing. If I ever walk out in the mountains in the middle of nowhere and I go like that and I touch the sky, I knew it.
On January 29th, 1773, Captain James Cook, the famous explorer, crossed the Antarctic Circle for the very first time. His mission was clear: find the southern continent. But what he found, well, it really shook him. Cook's journals describe months of sailing along an unbroken wall of ice stretching over 60,000 miles without ever reaching the end. He wrote that Antarctica wasn't a continent, it was a barrier, a fortress of ice surrounding the seas. That's the starting point, a historical record. And the desire, empires wanted to know what was beyond it. If Cook was right, hidden lands or vast resources could exist at the edge of the earth. Explorers dreamed of breaking through the wall to claim it. But here's the conflict. No one ever succeeded. Decades passed, expeditions tried and failed. Then, in the mid-20th century, a new chapter began. Operation High Jump, 1946. Thousands of US military personnel, ships and aircraft stormed into Antarctica under Admiral Richard Byrd. The official story? Training, the unofficial rumors, contact with something they weren't prepared for. Byrd himself told newspapers that Antarctica held land as large as the United States beyond the ice, rich in resources. And then came the change. The Antarctic Treaty of 1959. Suddenly, after centuries of exploration, the world's fiercest rivals, America, Russia, Britain, joined hands to lock Antarctica away. No settlements, no mining, no free travel forever. They didn't agree on anything else during the Cold War, but they agreed on this. The result, the public has never seen what Cook described. Instead, Antarctica has been reduced to penguin documentaries and, well, scientific research carefully controlled by governments. No ordinary citizen has followed Cook's path. No independent group has been allowed to test Byrd's claims. An entire continent hidden. So, here's the question. Why guard ice with more power than nuclear weapons? Why lock away the only landmass no one can touch? Follow if you're ready to reread history without the filters. Share if you believe Cook's voyage deserves answers. Because maybe the edge of the map isn't just a mystery, it's the truth they don't want you to see.
This footage is coming in from an African fella, he's called Tales. Now he says in the video that this is as south as you can possibly go, and he's found an ice wall, he's found Argentinians settled there, he said there's loads of action in the water, they're getting their signal jammed all the time, he's tried to live stream but it keeps getting cut off. If you go and watch his footage for yourself, he keeps saying that he's completely surprised by what he's finding. He feels like he's got to the end of the earth, he feels like he's closer to the sky, like he's in some sort of big dome. And we've gone past caring what the BBC and David Attenborough want to tell us about Antarctica. This guy's there, and everything that he's seeing and documenting doesn't correlate with what we're being told. Incredible footage coming in from this creator. Keep it coming, keep on exposing the lie. There's a reason why they don't want loads of us going there and seeing what's going on. You know nothing, Jon Snow.
This super chill dude is pounding this bell as hard as he possibly can in a vacuum, and he can't hear a single thing. But watch what happens when he adds air back into the chamber. Suddenly he can hear it again.
And as we let the air in, now I think you can hear the bell quite clearly.
Yeah, so think about this, guys. If you're on the moon in an atmosphere of virtually nothing, how are you going to hear any sound? Because sound cannot travel in a vacuum. Yeah, so if you watch all of these spacewalks and all of the moon landings, there are multiple instances where you can hear them like rattling stuff around, or like how he was opening and closing that cooler. But we just saw in a real scientific experiment that he was pounding the bell as hard as he possibly could, and no sound was traveling, because sound is a vibratory wave that needs a medium to propagate through. Otherwise, it cannot travel to you and you cannot hear it.
The Flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni, and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Eddie Alenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.